Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. The BBC reported in 2019 that in the field of information technology, according to polls, fewer than one-third the majority of the projects meet their original deadlines. Projects in industrial research and design can take a variety of forms. 3.5 times longer than anticipated, and unofficial estimates indicate that up to 90% the majority of professional authors are late. The submission of their manuscripts clearly, missing deadlines is a serious issue. It's also quite costly. Delays are expensive in terms of money, team time, energy, reputation, and customers. Fortunately, it's not that difficult. To complete tasks ahead of schedule when you have a reputation for being a jerk, it's even worse. You become the person who accomplishes things, who climbs to the top of the mountain. This will assist you in finishing your assignments ahead of schedule. We'll go over why you should always do this in this course. Wait till the last minute to complete tasks, as well as how to cultivate a fresh appreciation for the enchantment and beauty of deadlines. I'll share tried and true task management solutions with you, as well as a couple unorthodox yet incredibly successful suggestion strategies for you to finish your assignment ahead of time. And, despite the fact that I wasn't one myself, I'll share a few pointers with you, which straight-A students make advantage of should complete their assignment ahead of schedule. Perhaps most significantly, I'll show you how to be a better person in a stronger working relationship with your co-workers, and team, so that you can achieve success as a group. There's also a personal reason: to help you manage your deadlines better. We earn the respect of others through honoring our commitments to them. By honoring our vows to ourselves, we gain self-respect. The more people you can meet, the better. Or even going above and beyond your deadlines, the better you feel, the better you'll feel. So let's get started. After all, getting started is half the battle. Some undertakings are complicated, while others are not. And being aware of the distinction between the two may be the most important secret to not simply setting accurate deadlines but beating them. There are a lot of moving components in complicated things. They are, nevertheless, predictable and repeatable. For instance, if I handed you the blueprints and supplies, would you use them? It is difficult to construct the Brooklyn Bridge. There are a lot of them. However, if you follow those procedures in the correct order, you'll be okay. The Brooklyn Bridge will be your last destination. You can repeat this process indefinitely, depending on the number of Brooklyn bridges you desire. The term complex refers to something that is insecure, unfamiliar, or both, or unpredictably occurring ingredients. The more unpredictability there is, the better. The more difficult the task, the higher the level of skill required to manage it, the more difficult it is. The aspect is important in a lot of projects. Which one adds the greatest complexity? Can you guess? People. People's emotions, power struggles, and egos, not to mention their imagination and insight and their brilliant epiphanies. They have the ability to make even the simplest project extremely difficult. Consider the last project you completed. Was it a complicated situation with a lot of unknowns? Was it more complicated with more well-known people? Are aspects that are more predictable? It's enough to realize that it's more difficult to establish a precise timeframe for a difficult project than it is for a difficult one. Can assist you in achieving your goals. There are two more factors to consider. All projects will run more smoothly as a result of this. 1. There's an agreement. If everyone is in agreement that the project must be completed, no matter what, the easier it will be. So, whether you're attempting to reunite your family or not, to assist in the garage decluttering, or directing the introduction of a $6 million product, if you make certain, you will get superior results. That everyone recognizes the importance of the project. It's also agreed that it should be done. Alignment is signaled through agreement. Furthermore, accurate alignment might help you save a lot of time, as well as energy in the future. The second factor is simplicity. It may seem self-evident to state that the simpler something is, the better. The less difficult it is to complete. However, take note of how many things aren't completed. Because they appear to be overly complicated. I work with incredibly creative folks, assisting them in releasing their work into the world, and I frequently hear phrases like, "I'd like to publish a book. I'm at a loss about where to begin." After that, I said, "So, how about you take a seat? Now for 15 minutes and only write one paragraph." And they always come back to me and say something like, "Wow, that was a breeze. Now all you have to do is repeat the process 250 times more. And you'll have a novel on your hands. Can you come up with a few techniques to increase agreement? For your next project, how about alignment and simplicity? Also, don't be concerned if your project is late. It appears to be a maze of problems and unknowns. Humans are pretty adept at navigating those waters. It's also how we come up with new ideas. Don't be concerned if it appears impossible. Every day, we accomplish the seemingly impossible. By the way, the concepts I've presented here are my own. Are built on top of the Sinafin framework. David Snowden was the one who came up with the idea. So, if this is something that interests you, you should look into it. When the public learns I'm a productivity and creativity specialist, almost always, they say the same thing. "Oh, Milligram, I'm in desperate need of your help. I'm always putting things off till the last minute." I say, I know. Nothing is ever completed until the very last minute. We figure out when to do things at the last minute. Everything is done at the last minute. It's just that everyone perceives things differently. When is the last minute? My sister normally does all of her Christmas shopping at the same time. August was the completion date. August is the last month for her. You've most likely chastised yourself on a Sunday night, considering, "Oh, what a loser I am. I have a presentation to attend tomorrow. And I'm only getting started." That, however, is not the case. To begin with, you are not a loser. You're a joy. Second, you've been working on it for some time. You've been thinking about it and letting it sit for a while. I'm sure by the time you sat down to take notes, you were exhausted. You most likely already have a good notion of what you desired to accomplish. It was simply a matter of putting your ideas down on paper. Am I correct? Now I'm going to reveal a significant secret to you. Human behavior is governed by one thing. Probably more than anything else. It influences what you buy and when you marry, as well as the amount of money you have set aside for retirement. Do you already have an idea? It's a matter of time. Urgency is a mysterious force that governs your existence. Most of you approach your to-do list with a sense of urgency. You complete the task at hand today, rather than concentrating on the most crucial task. You pay attention to things that ding, don't you? Nothing in your life should ding, by the way. Turn off all alarms as a favor to yourself. This implies that you're always putting out fires, which drives you insane. If you start prioritizing that, which is critical, you will be able to achieve your goals. Over that which is urgent, you will begin to live a peaceful life right away. And a more fruitful existence. We buy items on sale because we are in a hurry. Why do limited time jobs exist? Explains why fear of missing out, FOMO, is such a potent motivator. Unfortunately, urgency is also why so many individuals wait to visit a doctor, waiting for their symptoms to become unbearable, only to discover that they had waited far too long. They are now constrained in their alternatives. Get a physical once a year, as a public service message. So, if you want to accomplish more, applying a sense of urgency is a good idea. Even a fake sense of urgency can be effective. Tell your employees that they have 10 minutes to finish a task. Or the fact that there is a bonus for the first 3 widgets sold before 5 p.m. To keep a sense of urgency, use a lot of deadlines. In the context of longer-term projects also, don't be fooled by the lack of urgency preventing you from completing the most important activities in your life, investing in a long-term savings account or an IRA, for example, or kicking off that brilliant idea you've had it hidden somewhere. So, where can you apply the urgency principle today in order to be more effective? Deadlines are beautiful and magical. And you've witnessed the power of magic in action in your own life. The time limit for throwing a dinner party. You are compelled to clean the entire house. The deadline for knowing when the last train will arrive 7 a.m. departure enables you to get up and out early. And I can tell you this from personal experience. That the opening night deadline in the stage, he performs a variety of marvels. Suddenly, the guy who can't recall his lines appears. Isn't on schedule, and the misaligned prop is rectified. Magic. There are several causes for this. Why are deadlines so magical? They first instruct your brain on what to concentrate on. We won't be able to accomplish everything at once. As a result, having some chores with a deadline is beneficial. It catches our attention. Second, we don't want to shame ourselves. Humans are social animals who live in tribes. We were created to live in groups. We can't make it on our own. As a result, we are really concerned. Regarding the group's favorable opinion, we don't want to be the one who disappoints everyone. We don't want to do anything that will cause us to be ejected. It's a matter of survival. Finally, deadlines make things happen. From the abstract to the concrete, without a deadline, it's difficult to stay on track. Your mind will just wander about in circles for the rest of your life. Experimenting with several variations of the concept. Evaluating the benefits and drawbacks, however, as soon as the invitations are sent out, that project is pushed to the front of your mind by your brain. You begin to make decisions and take action. And, as any entrepreneur knows, money enjoys making decisions. Money is a speed demon. Rapid-fire action. A certain degree of positive pressure exists. This is the result of a time constraint. Years ago, I realized I had developed a bad habit of waiting until the very last moment to begin preparing to depart the residence I was living in Los Angeles at the time. As a result, I would never jeopardize my driving time. I was well aware that getting across town would always take an eternity. However, I would shorten the amount of time I'd give myself if I had to get out of bed, get dressed, showered, and out the door. To the shortest length of time possible. I was usually in a hurry to leave the house. It's not enjoyable. Then it occurred to me. It was actually a method for me to cope with my anxieties. Because I suffer from social phobia. And, to be honest, there's a part of me that doesn't want to leave the house. So I'd take advantage of the possibility's adrenaline rush. I was pushed out the door by the fear that I would be late. To get me through my worry and anxiety and get me dressed, bathed, and in the car and in sufficient time for me to arrive on time wherever I needed to go. When I became aware of this, I was able to be a little gentler with myself. And to approach leaving the house with extra caution. As a result, you can take advantage of the magnificent magic of deadlines right now. By making your plans public. Check to see if there is any positive peer pressure. Does not assist you in getting more work done ahead of schedule. My preferred method of resolving a problem is to keep it from happening in the first place. Obtaining useful information in advance helps you to prevent problems from occurring in the first place. You'll save time, money, and frustration. So, if you're working on a major project, or if you've got a busy month ahead of you, organize an information gathering mission. And it makes perfect sense. If you were going to make a large purchase on a pleasant dinner at a new establishment, you'd probably start by reading the reviews. Better still, find a friend who has been there before. So that they may tell you the genuine story. Don't be concerned if the line appears to be long, it goes really quickly. Alternatively, order the guava pastry as a dessert. That kind of insider knowledge is priceless. So, why do you so often go barreling willy-nilly without making a single phone call? Into new initiatives without making a single phone call? If you're the one who came up with the idea for the project, when seeking counsel, you should be very deliberate. Ahead of time. Because it's so simple to become enamored with one's own thoughts. Furthermore, confirmation bias will frequently impede you from achieving your goals. From spotting any flaws or misunderstandings in your strategy. So, before you go too far, call 2 or 3 people. Other people who have worked in a similar situation doing exactly what you want to do, or who, at the very least, have similar experience. By the way, double check that you're just phoning people you know, that you admire and admire. Isn't it pointless to seek counsel from others? So, send out a couple pings. On the phone, if possible. It's an outdated technology, yet it still works well. You'll be astounded at how much more and how much better you can get. When you can hear someone's voice, you acquire information. And pay attention to what they're not saying. Here are 4 questions to help you get started. What do you wish you had known ahead of time? What turned out to be simpler than you anticipated? What was more difficult than you anticipated? What would you alter if you had to do it all over again? Or will you stay the same? There is no wisdom that compares to the wisdom that is based on personal experience. So, do yourself a favor and solicit feedback from the public, who have been there and done it before. Okay. We are occasionally thrown into projects. That is not our plan. And if you don't know what questions to ask ahead of time, don't be afraid to ask them. It's simple to get the purpose wrong. Scope and long-term objectives. This can lead to a lot of false starts and blind alleys. Plus, I'm not sure about you, but I, on the other hand, have a hard time getting thrilled. If I don't understand why we're doing something, I'm not going to do it. I'm not a good follower of orders. I require context. Once I've figured out what's going on and what the expected outcomes are, I'll be ready to. I understand why, and I can frequently participate at a greater level. Not only doing things, but also. Rather than assisting in the discovery of new and better methods to get to our destination. So, if you have a job that you want to finish ahead of schedule, if this isn't your idea, do some investigating. Gather as much information as possible by asking around. To begin with, where did this concept come from? Second, what problem are we attempting to address? 3, where does this initiative fit into the bigger picture? With our overarching strategy and objectives? How urgent is it? Number 4. What is the best way to prioritize it? Compared to the rest of our responsibilities? What are the expected outcomes or measurements? Number 5. How will we know if we've accomplished our goal? Getting to know a project's backstory gives you useful information on why it is that way. However, more crucially, it provides the information that your team requires. Must give it their all. Employees who aren't given enough information to comprehend the reasoning. Something will construct a justification for it. It's also unlikely to be flattering or accurate to you. Oh, they're just doing it for the fat cats. Make more money at the top. These misunderstandings lead to whining, powerlessness, and depression. And a lack of participation. All of these things can add time to a project. Then, oh, look, the squad has already missed their deadline. The goal is to provide them with sufficient information to elicit agreement, but not to the point of exhaustion. Getting them to see the big picture. You won't squander time if you know what your goals are ahead of time. Later, we'll talk about realignment meetings. When an employee understands why something is happening, he or she can take action. Oh, we're attempting to boost profitability, so that we may have an in-house childcare, okay? They can begin to accept responsibility for it. So, who can you contact today for additional information? Then how do you share that information with the rest of your team? In a method that'll mean something to them. If you're in charge of a team or a project, you have some extremely valuable assets. It's right there in front of you. It's your group. And I'm not simply referring to their skill sets. I'm referring to the fact that everyone around you has a lifetime ahead of them, of knowledge and experience that can assist you in completing your assignment in a timely manner, if not ahead of schedule when you're starting a new project for the first time, on your own. Then casually pull each individual early on to acquire their thoughts, opinions, and concerns. Don't bother about responding to their worries for the time being. We're just listening right now. After you've spoken with everyone and gotten a feel of what's going on, it's time to find out where everyone is. For a meeting of 20 minutes, 20-minute meetings are my favorite. It's just long enough to get things done or make a decision. But there isn't enough time for everyone to talk for hours. Here's a wonderful approach to get your meeting started. Allow everyone to introduce themselves by sharing a personal story. Outside of work, about who they are or have been. This isn't just some feel-good, conveyor technique. Feeling wonderful, on the other hand, is well worth it. A productivity strategy is in effect. In a moment, I'll explain. I'm only going to say one thing, so bear with me. There isn't much of a backstory or explanation. Here are some reasons why this is a good technique. Knowing the specifics of someone's life helps to humanize them. Our shared affiliations bind us together. Suddenly, Debbie the sourpuss isn't the only one with a grudge. In the cubicle next to you. The second rationale for this method is that research suggests that when a person is reminded of something, they are more likely to remember it. As a result of the diversity of their experiences, they'll appear on their own. With new and creative ideas, reminding someone that they are a mother is a good idea. A cat rescuer from the Midwest enables people to present their entire selves to the table, begin to gain buy-in once everyone has arrived. By contributing what you know to the project, discuss the reasons for this, as well as any concerns you've heard. Obtain feedback from the team. And offer them leading questions to get them to open up to consider the project from a strategic standpoint. Here's what I'm certain of: when people have a sense of ownership, they perform better. Working on a project, when people believe it is their idea, they give it their all. First and foremost. So make the most of your team's expertise, knowledge, and experience. And suggestions to help you improve your project. And to make it happen more quickly. Here's a quick trick that will save you time. As well as evident and beneficial that you'll be thinking. I'm talking about OBS. However, I can assure you that almost no one actually does it. Are you prepared? If you're starting a new project in the future, Google it first. Since something has been done somewhere, I admire what you're trying to do. And they've probably written a blog about it now. Alternatively, you may create a YouTube tutorial. Spend no more than 15 minutes becoming inspired by the things that people have done in the past to get things done. Take a look at the situation from a historical standpoint. How did individuals overcome this or a similar problem? In ancient Greece, and in Paris in the 1940s, is it 1776 or this week? What can you learn from the past? What can you learn from the experiences of other industries? Cross-pollination is the source of magic. So, right now, make a small list. Names and search keywords, either specific or broad, such as how to plan a highly engaging event. 75 people attended a virtual conference. Or something more broad, such as successful product launches or in a crisis, leadership. Do your research in no more than 30 minutes. The goal is to gain a better knowledge of the situation. Right? You don't want to get drawn into a Wikipedia rabbit hole, do you? Your best ally is research. In the long run, it can save you a lot of time. One of the most common inquiries I receive is, how do I decide what to prioritize? I have a zillion things going on at any given time. Everything feels as if it had to be done yesterday. I figured it out. Here's a suggestion from me. Make a to-do list the next time you make one. Make a list of everything that has to be done. Following which you should create some columns. The first one should be labeled. What is the scope of that project? 2 hours and 15 minutes. If you are unable to specify a time frame to the project, this indicates that your project is too large. You'll also need to chop it up a little. Money is written in the following column. How much money is involved in bringing money in or taking money out? Impact is the third column. What kind of impact will this thing have? How important is it to you? To the world, to business, to business, to business, to business, to business, to business, to your clients, customers, and co-workers. Imminence is the fourth column. When will the deadline be? You might want to double-check if it's due sooner. You are aware of this. And if it doesn't have one, make one now. So you'll know where it's going on your list of productive things to do. ROI, or return on investment, is the fifth column. If you complete this item, project, or assignment, you will be rewarded. What are you going to gain out of it? What would the company gain as a result of it? Now, not everything offers a good return on investment, but a few do. And you'll want to put those things first. The last column I'd add is fun or a wonderful feeling. Obviously, not everything we undertake is successful. It's likely to be enjoyable or enjoyable. However, this isn't a justification to leave it off the list. You can now just move across these columns. Then assign a number ranging from 1 to 5. How long will this take, on average? 5, it will take a long time to complete, or 1, there isn't a lot of time. What is the amount of money involved? 1 is not a lot of money, and 5 is a lot of money. 1, the impact isn't going to be significant. 2, the impact isn't going to be significant. And 3, the impact isn't it's going to matter a lot. Number 5. It's possible that it'll alter the course of your entire company. One thing is imminence, and deadlines are far away. 5, the deadline has arrived, and you are on top of it. 1, there isn't a lot of return on investment. 2, there isn't a lot of return on investment. 5, a high rate of return on investment and a lot of leverage. It's a pleasurable experience. 1, 5 snoozes, excellent. You can combine those figures together and use them to organize your to-do list and your day. Isn't that a clever trick? You may have a few more columns. You want to add to it, make it your own, and make it work for you. So you've been assigned a new project. You've completed your research and recognition assignment. Now you're ready to get started on your project. It's time for a meeting, right? Meetings, as we all know, are the bane of business. In general, they are a waste of time and energy, and irritate everyone. However, there is one simple line that stands out. This has the potential to drastically impact the culture of your meetings. I wish I could teach it to everyone on the planet. Perhaps once you've learned about it and seen how powerful it is, you'll want to use it. You'll tell 2 friends, who will then tell 2 friends, and so on. And so on throughout the world. There will be no more tedious meetings after that. EA. Okay. Ready? Make a note of it. What exactly is the purpose of this gathering? What exactly is the purpose of this gathering? Isn't it straightforward? But don't be fooled by the simplicity. What is the purpose of this gathering, you ask? You're forced to do a few key tasks. 1, it helps you to be more self-aware. What you wish to achieve. For some of you, this will be the deciding factor. The purpose of this meeting is to ensure that all of the players will get the opportunity to meet one another, as well as to confirm the following event's date. As a result, a desired objective, a FaceTime, and a date have been set. The purpose of this meeting is to have a difficult discussion. about the budget and why it is so messed up as a result. The ideal outcome is open, non-blaming dialogue. And deciding on the next steps in resolving the budget. After that, double-check that everyone else is aware of the meeting's purpose and why they are required to be present. This aids in the reduction of both absenteeism and presenteeism. When people are present but appear to be uninterested, knowing how and why they integrate into the bigger picture is essential. Can make a significant difference in terms of engagement. Now that everyone is aware of the facts, not only do you have the foundation, but you also have the skills. For a more efficient and effective meeting, however, everyone may be on the lookout. Should avoid a few things that can sabotage a meeting. Scope creep is a phenomenon that occurs when the conversation progresses, you'll notice. And you're trying to cover as much ground as possible and an ever-increasing number of topics in a single meeting. When you're chasing rabbits, you're likely to get pushed off course to a different subject, and then all the time this strange random thing takes over. Irregular ambiguity. There was a lot of rhetoric but no genuine statements. There is no decision-making. Other meeting killers exist as well. When you've asked, "I'll be honest with you, what exactly is the purpose of this gathering?" you'll have built a success metric. Is the goal we set for ourselves being met? Yes. Excellent. Why not? No. Is there anything we'd do differently next time? So build a sign for yourself. Place it on the table in the conference room. What exactly is the purpose of this gathering? As you begin the planning process, keep the following in mind. Keep this question at the forefront of your mind. What is the purpose of this undertaking? Getting and keeping your bearings about your project's objective, values, and goals will be extremely beneficial to you and your team. Get things done ahead of time. Sparkly objects are so easy to get caught up in while you're in the middle of a project or simply trying to do a mountain of tiny things. And having a clear vision can help you stay on track. Years ago, I used to hold my own annual conference. Over 100 people traveled from all over the world to attend. Peru, New Zealand, Austria, and Israel are among the countries represented. It was incredible. And after a year or two of doing that, I got tired of it. When the question was raised, did we want to include a live broadcast feature? Other people from all over the world, as a result, they weren't always able to. If you're willing to go to Southern California, you might be able to attend. This offered a number of advantages. We could sell more tickets if we worked harder. We might be able to make it more accessible to a larger number of people around the world. We'd be able to reach a wider audience, and we'd be able to spread the word more effectively. However, when I returned to the original query, what is the purpose of this undertaking? What is the purpose of this gathering? That aspect of the vision came back to me. Aim to make something elegant and uncomplicated. And by streamlined, I don't mean fancy. Efficient, significant. Aim to provide an unforgettable experience for the sake of the people in the room. So, despite the fact that it's live streaming would have provided us with a new stream of income and a larger audience, I declined. Since it would have added to the complexity and it would have taken away from the experience for the sake of the people in the room, it would have also meant a lot more work. In a similar period of time, this isn't a good recipe for getting things done on time, let alone in advance. That is an example of how having a clear vision can help you. For what you desire can assist you in making selections as you progress. Furthermore, research suggests that reminders are effective about the project's larger why fosters greater positivity and engagement. So, to keep energized, answer these questions. What is the purpose of our mission? How are we attempting to make the world a better place? A somewhat better work environment? And how does this initiative contribute to that goal? What will be the specific benefits of this project? Which is more important, our company or our community? What are the desired outcomes and when do they need to be achieved? What do we want it to feel like? Knowing what questions to ask and what topics to explore ahead of time is essential. gives a clear picture of the big picture. This saves time and prevents mistakes in the future. So, whether you're dealing with quarterly OKRs or not, maybe you're attempting to complete a 30-item to-do list in the coming 48 hours. Understanding what questions to ask and what topics to explore in advance provides you a clear picture of the big picture. It also saves time and prevents errors in the future. Not only do the finest leaders accept conflict, but they often encourage it. They promote it. Conflict can lead to better solutions, as good leaders understand. And that being asked difficult questions leads to better responses. Developing doubt about your own judgment is also beneficial. This is a very good thing. So, even if your team consists solely of you, dissent is an important part of the planning process. This is one method that has been proposed. The 6 Thinking Hats, by Edward de Bono, is a classic. De Bono advises that you take a close look at your project. Everyone weighed in on each of the 6 lenses. This could or might not be feasible for you. However, if you grasp the concept, you can customize it to meet your specific requirements. The first hat is made of white material. Jack, those are the facts. What is the objective, neutral information here? Red is the color of the second hat, which represents emotion. What are your gut instincts, hunches, and strong feelings? The third hat is yellow, indicating a logical affirmative. What is the best-case scenario, the cheerful, sunny one? The fourth hat is a black one. That stands for care, critical judgment, and prudence. Presenting the reasons why something might not work. Green is the fifth hat, which represents innovative thinking and new ideas. The sixth color is blue, which represents the planning process and conclusions. As you can see, there are several ways to approach the planning process. Urging everyone to express their emotions, their advantages, reasons why it might not work, etc., might all lead to a better result, right? And if it's just you, it forces you to be creative. To engage in some critical thought prior to a calamity if you find yourself veering off the beaten path. This strategy also prevents people from being trapped in their professions. The pessimists are given the opportunity to share some brightness. The eternal optimists, on the other hand, can contemplate the negative without feeling as if their street cred is being harmed. Please keep in mind that, depending on the project and the team, this procedure can be completed in a short amount of time. And, particularly if you're working alone, the ability to challenge your own beliefs is an important component of the process. Of the planning method, dissension isn't supposed to throw you off track. Its purpose is to draw attention to potential stumbling blocks that could put a halt to your plans. So, once you've devised a strong strategy, make the effort to find flaws in the strategy. Test it under pressure to see how well it holds up. Then go forth and conquer the world. This may be the most crucial piece of advice in the entire course. If you need something done before a deadline, provide a strong incentive. It may seem self-evident, but let's take a closer look. Giving a bonus or a reward is a terrific method to motivate people. Ways expressing gratitude to your employees, or even simply to yourself that you are requesting something unique. You're asking them to go above and beyond their normal duties. And even just that acknowledgement can go a long way to making individuals feel valued and driven, and be prepared to go above and beyond that it'll take to get there. Whatever it is, it will be completed ahead of schedule. It's fantastic if you can give everyone a prize. The entire group. I used to work at a comedy club, where, if we achieve a given goal, everyone who worked on it is rewarded. Employees in the building would receive a 10% raise in their pay. The actors, waitstaff, and administrators, to name a few, everyone, the box office. This fostered a strong sense of camaraderie. To win this prize, we were all working together. Even if you're a sole proprietor, consider a reward that will be significant to you. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it should be meaningful. Something you might not have done for yourself otherwise. It's even acceptable to treat yourself to a special meal. However, it's critical to recognize. When you've completed a task and done it well, it helps you get off the hamster wheel, you know? You've heard me say that if you want things done ahead of time, you should do so. Offer a significant reward in exchange for your time. Make a note of what is important. Money is a wonderful thing right now. And if you're stumped for ideas, stick to money. There are, however, alternative offers you can make that are possibly more in line with your principles, or the values of your team, or the culture of your firm. Lee Richter, a brilliant entrepreneur, is one of my pals. She once made a major speech about rewarding employees in accordance with her team members' what is their love language. The film The 5 Love Languages is based on the book The 5 Love Languages. She would have them take the quiz for work. And whatever it turned out was most meaningful for them was the way she planned to reward them. So, if you're looking for words of praise, you've come to the right place. They'd be given a plaque or some sort of recognition. Those who desired gifts would receive them. People who desired to spend quality time together, I'd go out to lunch with the boss. What a novel approach to reward individuals. That is significant to them. So write a list right now. Even if your budget is minimal, you can definitely think of a couple of things to do. What incentives you may give the squad that will motivate them and encourage them, or you, to finish your assignment as soon as possible. My all-time favorite method for organizing work and events is to use a spreadsheet, as a result of which they are completed ahead of time. Is accomplished through reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is nothing short of a miracle. Please allow me to explain why. For starters, reverse engineering challenges you to think outside the box. Isn't it better to start at the end and move backwards? So, if I want to send you a gift, please let me know. I'm sure I'll have to mail it on the 30th. On the 20th, so I'll need it by then. On the 19th, everything will be packed and ready to travel. That means I'd have to have bought it by the 18th. But most likely by the 17th, which means I'll need to hurry to begin seeking for the present, perhaps on the 7th day and perhaps one more day as a backup, just in case on the 20th, I don't make it to the post office. Reverse engineering forces you to start from the beginning. Keeping the end in mind, it helps you stay focused on the eventual goal. Working backwards forces you to think about every step of the way, and where the bottlenecks are. Additionally, if there are any potential stumbling blocks, allow for extra time around them, as well as setting interim deadlines for you. It also makes you think about things you might not think about it otherwise. I even plan my day backwards. So, if we're meeting for lunch at 1 p.m., I'll scribble on a sheet of paper, 1 p.m., lunch with you, parking at 12:45 p.m. Leave the house at 12:15 p.m. 12 p.m., look for shoes and a purse. Get dressed and ready at 11 a.m. Check directions at 10 a.m. To the restaurant to make a reservation for lunch. It seems to me as I write this that that's correct. It's a long journey. The distance from the parking lot to the restaurant, so I'll need 15 minutes more there. This was something I wanted to print out. I wanted to present it to you at lunch. That is something I can accomplish at 10 a.m. and put in my handbag. It has helped me avoid a lot of last-minute scrambling. It also serves as a reminder to me to plan ahead of time. All of those amusing small transitions that you don't believe will take very long, but always manage to do so. So go ahead and choose something right now. Some project with a deadline of today or tomorrow, anything you've been meaning to finish for a long time, and work backwards through the steps, at each location, putting a timestamp on it. Check to see if it doesn't make your path easier and increase the efficiency and effectiveness of your work. One question that managers I know frequently ask is, what can I do to manage my team without micromanaging it? How do I offer them the freedom to complete their tasks, but also keep an eye on them to see if they're getting their work done? It might be difficult to establish the right balance. As well as ensuring that the lines are straight, it is critical that lines of communication remain open. One type of amusement, a daily stand-up or check-in, is an easy way to do this. This is a brief meeting, lasting less than 10 minutes. Perhaps only 5. You also request that everyone on the team report in. Begin by expressing thanks or praise. Something that is working very nicely. So, what did they do the day before? What are they up to these days? What exactly do they require? Let's start with something positive. It may appear cheesy at first, but it truly works. It has been demonstrated that focusing on the positive reduces stress, boosts job satisfaction and participation. It also informs you and your team of small victories that are taking place along the route. This can be done in an asynchronous manner. You can use a chat thread or an app to accomplish this. However, I believe there is something unique here. Regarding the ability to view each other's faces, assess each other's emotional state, take a look at where things are going, and to be able to detect the development on a daily basis of the undertaking. Even if your team consists solely of you, a daily review can be really beneficial in completing tasks ahead of schedule. So, right now, ask yourself, what is something worthwhile or positive? There's a lot of praise going around right now. What did you do the day before yesterday? What are your plans for the day? And what exactly do you require? Try asking yourself these questions to see if they don't assist you manage. Both you and your team will be more productive. I once read an article in a magazine about a company. Anyone who alerted the authorities would receive a monetary reward. The team to a deadline on the verge of being missed. The concept is that it is less expensive to address a problem that you are aware of from the start. It also reduced the stigma associated with telling the truth. It genuinely rewarded telling the truth. Creating an environment that values honesty, cooperation, and teamwork is based on strong communication abilities. Being able to communicate with others about how things are going. It's crucial to be able to go off schedule without being punished. Your requests aren't being met by suppliers. Calls aren't being returned, and anything that will clog up the system. The more you can alert others to delays ahead of time, the better. The more they can adjust or pivot to fit in, the better. The alterations, knowing something is likely to happen at the last minute. It is a crisis if a deadline is missed. Knowing ahead of time gives you an advantage. Individuals might benefit from this technique as well, especially those of you who suffer from chronic pain. Overestimate the time it will take to complete a task. Keeping a closer eye on those deadlines you failed to meet or are going to miss can assist you in developing a more realistic outlook. Knowledge of how you spend your time also. If you have any recurring duties, write them down that are sometimes put in peril due to missed deadlines. Suppose you're responsible for closing out monthly invoicing or logging in every week, your working hours. Start thinking about how you can improve your efficiency with those responsibilities. As a result, you'll be more aware of your deadlines. Take a look at your current project or to-do list. Is there a list of deadlines that have yet to be met? How has this affected the rest of the project? Would things have been different if you'd known sooner? Could you have anticipated these snafus? You can motivate and even reward your team as well as yourself. When things aren't going well, to be more upfront according to the schedule. Accept honesty as a virtue, even if the news isn't what you want to hear. Also, figure out how to change your routine before you hit crisis mode. If you're working on a project that's important to you, if that's the case, you'll require a project management system. Anything is possible. Pieces of paper, ranging from index cards to post-its to create complex internet programs. Look into whatever project management systems are available. Which tools are the most effective for you, because there isn't a single correct response. To some extent, they all function. They all have some sort of catastrophic fault. Choosing a partner is similar. It's only a matter of finding the right one that will not irritate you in the least. These project management software applications can progress from a very basic state to a more complex state. And everything in between, from simple to sophisticated. Again, you'll have to make adjustments based on your budget, the size and your preferences. Considering the extent of your project and team, however, there are a few pointers to keep in mind. Regardless of what you're working with, even if you're using it on your own. To begin with, for discussion threads, ensure that each remark has just one topic. Similar to what you say in your emails, you don't want to say, "Hey, here's a paragraph," for example. With relation to the August event also, I'd want to solicit your feedback on this recipe for raspberry jam. No, only one email is required for the August event. A second email should be sent with the raspberry jam. The comment thread is the same way. 2 themes, 2 responses. Believe me when I say that this will save you time in the long run. Separate your chats as well. There isn't a thread in which we discuss the upcoming launch as well as the holiday celebration as well as Steve's trip. Organize such discussions into distinct threads. It makes it easier to find stuff later. It also avoids communications from being overlooked. Editing communications to make them more accessible allows you to save time. It also keeps you from falling down a rabbit hole. Preparing for the holiday celebration when it's critical to keep focused on the launch. Also, don't CC everyone. Make a conscious decision about who you invite and with whom you exchange various pieces of information. Not everyone requires constant access to all information. You'll exhaust your crew as a result. With a lot of alerts, so think ahead and plan ahead about making sure that whoever gets included. Similarly to the meetings, every single person on that list, there's a reason he's there and is aware of their purpose for being there. And if you find yourself CC'd on something, don't be alarmed that you are not required to be. Don't get sidetracked once more. Simply file it away and go on. My final piece of advice is to use a naming convention. Thanks for everything. Everything should be labeled and dated. The fundamental objective about labeling things is to make it easier to find what you're looking for. Isn't just so you'll remember where it is, it's also so you'll be able to find it later. However, if someone ever desired to return, they could. Suppose it's 5 years from now. They wish to return and have a look at how well you and your team performed. On this undertaking, they had access to all files, notes, and notifications, and at least have a decent idea of what was going on. When it comes to labeling objects, especially digital ones, consistency is key. Can assist you in remembering them. Email templates and pre-written subject lines for various project milestones can clog up your inbox. Essentially, this is your filing system. What a time saver that is! Here's another of my favorite time-saving tips, especially if you have a lot of paper to deal with. Obtain a large number of Post-its. Then jot down the name of the piece of paper. It takes an eternity to organize paper. You have to sit and read everything because you have to. If you've labeled it with a Post-it note, though, you may also categorize them by color. You can tell what something is just by looking at it. Also, as a pro tip, what needs to be done next. As a result, we label for retrieval. For the sake of clarity, we label. It may appear to be a little tedious to having to do things the same way every time, but believe me when I say that you will thank me later. When you're asked to locate a document or a transcript of a conversation, you have all you need right at your fingertips. According to what I've heard, the average length of time spent on a project is we spend a lot of time seeking for something is between 1 and 10 minutes, which does not appear to be excessive. However, this adds up to more than 1.5 years of our life, which equates to about 5,000 hours time searching for items. Enhance your ability to locate items rapidly, as well as enhancing your abilities to complete tasks ahead of schedule. I'd like to take advantage of this opportunity to speak out in support of multitasking. Multitasking is a wonderful thing when you're able to locate 2 items that you can perform simultaneously. Amazing how they complement one another and possibly even enhance each other. When I'm doing the dishes, for example, podcasts are something I listen to on a regular basis. While watching television, I frequently do needlepoint. And when I'm taking notes, I always doodle. I, like many of you, find that I think more clearly when I exercise. When my hands are full of things to do, multitasking is now distinct from task switching. When you're doing one thing and then moving to another, you're said to be task switching. Then you have to come to a halt and do something else, then you'll return back to the initial thing you were doing. Especially if they are pursuits that require physical exertion. Various modes of thought: if you're writing, for example, and you're in a sort of deep, creative flow, then someone comes by and disturbs you. In order to receive a credit card payment for something, you've been yanked from the creative process into the recitation of your credit card numbers. Then it takes some time to get back into the swing of things. It's exhausting to switch between tasks, as well as a waste of resources. As a result, one of the keys to avoiding task switching is to keep interruptions to a minimum. Now, I understand that we cannot always exert control. Dang it, what everyone else says or does, however, we may assist them in learning how to treat us. This is a fantastic technique to avoid disruptions. Is to inform folks of how and when they can contact you. Having open office hours or lunch dates on a regular basis. Alternatively, check-in times can be set. Will assist in preventing people from feeling depressed. They act as if they need to speak with you straight now. If they know they'll talk to you at 10 a.m., they'll be prepared. Alternatively, meet you at 12 p.m. for lunch, or that you'll check in before leaving at 5 p.m. That makes them feel better. They can also learn to wait. Another type of stoppage that occurs frequently is the fact that our smartphones keep interrupting us. Anything that pings, bings, alerts, or beeps is a pinging, binging, alerting, or beeping device. It's a distraction, so turn it off. And the moment you let something to binge on you, you're doomed. Divert your focus away from what you should be doing. You've let someone else plan your day for you. And it isn't being in charge. So, with the exception of emergency warnings, everything should be turned off. Close the email window if you're not using it. 2 or 3 times a day, check your email. Allowing yourself to get distracted by the arrival of an email is not a good idea. You're performing a vital job, so don't let this bother you. So far, we've discussed other people's disruptions, as well as disruptions from electronic devices. But what if you find yourself interrupting yourself? You're going to get started, aren't you? Then you come up with something different. Perhaps that's something you'd rather be doing. Maybe you have an irrational desire to check social media. This is the point at which it becomes significant. To be an excellent parent to oneself, redirect your focus gently yet forcefully, in order to complete the task at hand, and make a vow to yourself. Thus, after you're through, you can check social media. Setting a timer provides significant relief for many people. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. They made a promise to themselves that they would labor non-stop till the timer beeps, 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 beep. They can then take a break. Realizing that there is a finish line, it's easier to stay focused when you're not distracted. Let's face it, we'll never be able to do it. To keep all interruptions to a minimum. However, you can avoid many of them. So, take a few minutes to jot out 3 strategies that you can think of to assist in removing the interruptions. Things are obstructing your progress. Completing tasks ahead of schedule. Disasters will undoubtedly occur. And one of the most typical types is tech disasters. Account for the majority of calamities. But if you know it's going to happen, you can prepare. You can prepare for it and protect it from going off the rails if you plan ahead. The full project's schedule. Here are a few pointers to keep your computer disasters at bay. To a bare minimum. First and foremost, and perhaps most crucially, always have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. Always make a backup of everything. The backups, too. You simply need to miss one day of work, or a year's worth of labor, or a single hard drive's worth of work to jolt you awake to the fact that backups are necessary or essential to your health as well as the success of your projects. Maintain the condition of your equipment. Keep the software updated, make sure you're staying up utilizing cutting-edge technology. I understand how inconvenient it is to have to replace equipment and acclimate to a new system when you've only recently grown accustomed to the old one. But believe me when I say that technology is moving at breakneck pace. You don't want to be left behind, do you? You also don't want to be bound by a system that is so old that it is incompatible with modern systems. You must continue to move forward. Keep up with the latest trends. Keep in mind that every 10 years, the tablecloth will be removed from the table. There will be a completely new manner of doing things, of accomplishing whatever it is you're attempting. And you'll have to keep track of it. Do not allow young individuals to work in the workplace to be the only ones who understand how to use the machines. However, try to avoid using unknown technology. When you're in the middle of a major project, new technology is always being developed. To face unexpected challenges, to be unable to complete tasks, there are flaws, brittle regions, and places where things can break. Now, if it's a program or system you're familiar with, that you're used to, those minor annoyances aren't that significant. However, if you are unaware that they are approaching, and you haven't made any preparations for them, they have the potential to completely wreck your schedule. Always have a backup plan. If it doesn't work, try this instead. If it doesn't work, try this instead. We'll give it a shot this way. But, if that fails, we'll try this. Even just mental preparation is required. And the knowledge that your first try may not be successful will ensure that whatever follows goes more smoothly. Finally, make certain that your IT department is up to date. Before you need them, they are nourished and respected. You don't want to be slathering them in butter. Waking up in the midst of a crisis, you want them to be happy all of the time, right? So that if you ever have a crisis, and you will be prepared. They can save the day by rushing in on their steeds. Since they are aware that you have already seen and heard them, they are valued and the work they do is important to them. Failures in technology can be quite aggravating and time-consuming, but not as much when you prepare ahead. To always be one step ahead of any bugs, malfunctions, or crashes. Is it okay if I tell you something? In all of my years, I have never done anything like that. Received a response from a printer who got it correctly the first time around. Materials disasters might throw a person's schedule off, knowing that they can and will do so. It has always happened, and it will continue to happen. Can assist you in adding time and space to your schedule to incorporate into your planning schedule and avert materials hazards. Materials disasters are now the kind of disasters that occur to the items you're actually working with. As a result, the flooring does not come in a timely manner. Coffee is spilt across the shot. You had a whiteboard with you. Everything that has been written on it has been accidentally deleted. The unique item you created comes to fruition to be the incorrect size. The size of the couch you ordered is ideal. However, it is unable to pass through the door. All of these are problems with physical objects. So, what have we learned? Even from that little list of potential errors. Double-check your materials at all times. All of the invoices should be double-checked. Have someone on your staff who enjoys proofreading, who's highly detail-focused. Request that they go through everything with you. Double-check your measurements. 3 times is the magic number. What's likely to go wrong here? Inquire the service providers. Have you ever encountered a problem like this before? How can we make sure that doesn't happen with this project? Make a copy of everything. Everything should be backed up. Whiteboards, handwritten notes, photographs or scans in the materials review meetings. No coffee or water is permitted. Diet Coke should not be splattered across your poster board. you're going to spill it on the one and only copy. I can assure you of that. People make mistakes, and rush fees are costly. So take a close look at your schedule. Concerning what might go wrong with the ingredients and budget for some spare time and possibly some more cash on the budget, and some specifications, double-checking it will save you a lot of time and misery in the long run. If you're a boss or if you're self-employed, you've probably observed that the technology occasionally creates a delay. Occasionally, the materials create a delay. What, on the other hand, constantly creates delays? People. Individuals and their characteristics. You must keep in mind that people have lives. Life occurs, after all. Someone who has always been so dedicated can fall short at times. They'll have something going on in their lives if they're so punctual. They become disoriented as a result of this. That isn't to say they aren't a valuable employee or team member, but it also refers to a person who is a member of they might not be able to meet their deadlines. Have a basic understanding of what's going on in your team's personal lives, but not in an intrusive way, but just so you may show your support. They'll keep moving forward. Recognize that there will be instances when you'll have to adjust your expectations of them when that time comes. When the remainder of the team has arrived is going to have to shoulder a greater share of the load. When people are going through major changes in their lives, they're getting married, they're getting divorced, they're expecting a child, and both of their parents are sick. All of these factors necessitate additional attention. This can detract from a project's concentration. If you're in charge of a team, you have the chance to be understanding and sympathetic, as well as establishing solid boundaries in order for that person to keep showing up for work, but without putting that person under undue strain. The same can be said about you. If you're in the midst of a health crisis or a financial meltdown, maybe you're dealing with a personal issue that is diverting your focus away from your work. Take it easy on yourself. Reduce your expectations and seek further assistance. Assemble a group of people to support you. It's also true that individuals are amusing. People will leave when it is most inconvenient for them. People will ebb and flow, and they will have feelings. It is advantageous if you are able to create some form of collective memory so that more than one person is aware of the situation, keeping track of procedures, maintaining a written record of conversations as well as a current list of resources. All of these tools can aid in the repair of the whole. When someone leaves unexpectedly, finally, schedule meetings and check-ins on a regular basis. In private with each member of the team, keep your gaze fixed on them. Talk to them about their personal objectives. Let them know you're there and ready to help, as well as the fact that you see them as a human being and not just a clerical worker. And if it's just the two of you attempting to complete a mountain of duties, give yourself the same courtesy. Examine your own situation. Remind yourself of your long-term strategy. You've got this, tell yourself. Believe me when I say that a little sympathy during a difficult time can go a long way. Will make others want to work for you and get you better jobs out of that person for the rest of their lives. Now, I'm presuming you got straight A's in school. Oh, you weren't there, were you? I didn't think so, but here are a few pointers. Stuff I've picked up from my pals who are straighter students. When it came to getting outstanding grades ahead of schedule, you should make a number of little interim goals, so that you aren't attempting to deal with everything at once all at the same time. At the end also, make sure to provide some buffer time. Just in case things get a little hairy, perhaps you're having a bad day and want to do nothing, or you're in need of a mental break. Generally, you should underpromise and overdeliver. So, if you know your boss wants something by Friday, go ahead and do it. Tell them you'll have it ready for them by Thursday. However, I want to deliver it to them by Tuesday. Even if it's Wednesday, you'll be ahead of schedule. Early submission is a fantastic method to save time. To show self-assurance, competence, and maturity. This is especially true when working with clients. If your clients need anything completed by the 15th of the month, make sure you get it to them by the 7th of the month. That is to say, you will inform your staff that it must be submitted by the 1st. Including these fictitious deadlines may appear to be manipulative. If there isn't any actual urgency, they are. However, if there is a genuine sense of urgency, then give yourself that tiny bit of buffer. It's only natural. Make an effort to make things appear pleasant. Check to see if you've proofread it. Make certain that all of your I's are dotted and all of your T's are crossed. Appearances are important. For myself and my team, I have a rule. That means I'm not going to be stressed out. I'm not in a hurry. As a result, we begin projects early. We have a lot of check-ins. I am also a staunch defender of my own and my team's time. I strive to set them up to exceed their expectations. I'm in the same boat. We may not have received an A+ in school, but however, we have the potential to be an A+ squad today. A research involving certain children was conducted a few years ago, who were apprehensive about beginning kindergarten. In addition, the researchers demonstrated to the youngsters who were terrified a video of a different child kind of like them, their same age and all, as I entered the kindergarten classroom, greeting the instructor, putting their jacket in the cubby, taking a seat on the mat. When you're a kindergartner, you do everything a kindergartner does. They begin their day with a bang. And after seeing that video a few times, the terrified children who were throwing tantrums, becoming less terrified and with fewer temper tantrums. They carried out the experiment again with children who were frightened of dogs, showing them footage of kids that look like them, again and over, engaging with dogs in a safe manner, aided in the reduction of their dread and anxiety. They were also shown how to engage with dogs in a safe manner. This works because one of the ways that humans communicate is through their bodies. Modeling is the most effective way to learn. When we watch someone else do it, it inspires us to try it ourselves. It makes it more convenient for us to do so. That makes perfect sense. We're creatures who live in tribes. We were created to live in communities. We are well aware that we will not be able to survive on our own. As a result, it's only natural that we learn best in groups. So, if you're going to help yourself and your team, here's what you should do. As well as completing tasks ahead of time, why not form a group? Even a 2-person group. Even a simple buddy system can contribute to a positive environment. Social pressure that leads to increased achievement. A daily check-in, a weekly check-in, or a monthly check-in are all options. A monthly mastermind group, or a longer-term deep dive every couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 hours. Whatever is most convenient for you and your team, as well as your budget. However, allowing them dedicated time to collaborate with one another to make sure they are on the right track can produce incredible outcomes. Furthermore, it strengthens working ties. It is crucial for job happiness and engagement. So, who do you think you could team up with today? One of the most common issues I see when folks, they'll always try to get things done when they're trying to get things done. Carry out the things that they enjoy or tasks that are simple for them to complete first. They put things aside that are difficult to do, or that they are unfamiliar with. Of course, this is very natural. But it wreaks havoc with your productivity. So, what do you do when you're faced with a situation like this? When you're faced with a chore you don't want to undertake, or something you don't naturally want to do? You're doing exactly what savvy parents all across the world are doing. Bribery has always been practiced throughout history. That's correct. Make your inner 9-year-old complete the difficult tasks first. To waste time on tasks they don't wish to do, bribery will now take on many forms for different people. Make a pledge to yourself to go for a walk in the sunshine. I work from home, so I can have lunch or a fancy coffee whenever I want. As a result, my prize is usually a half-hour of bedtime reading. Whatever it is that makes you happy and gives you the impression of, oh, okay, I'll do it, is the appropriate bribe. You might also have some luck. by making difficult or sticky tasks a game. A healthy dose of competition, keeping track, keeping score, etc. in the team, checkmarks, thermometers, and progress tracking, whatever you can to keep their attention on the reward. Use the spirit of healthy rivalry to your advantage. To persuade individuals to overcome their natural apprehension to perform a specific task or a difficult task, remember, we're all kids at heart. Our inner 9-year-olds also run a lot more. A larger role of the show than any of us would want to admit. Hence, ensuring that your inner 9-year-old is having some fun and being rewarded for performing difficult tasks, it has a significant impact on your productivity. And assisting you in completing tasks ahead of time as a reward, think about what your inner 9-year-old desires. You start to incentivize that kid to keep going and just do what needs to be done. That's all there is to it. I hope you've gained some confidence as a result of this. About your deadline setting, meeting, and even beating abilities. And you can see the advantage, both in your output and in your communications, of doing tasks in a timely manner. There are a plethora of excellent books available on productivity and time management. My favorites, though, are two oldies but goodies: 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, by Stephen Covey, Getting Things Done by David Allen. You can also get a copy of my book, Get It Done, From Procrastination to Creative Genius, in only 15 minutes per day. And if you've found this course useful, please share it with others. Some of my other trainings might be of interest to you, right here on the same platform. I'd love to know how everything goes for you. Do you feel more at ease and assured? Do you have a stronger sense of self, of your own success and progress? Are your communications better, and are your consumers happier as a result? Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.